currently in Milan, Italy, and today I got stopped by the police.
Italians are not nice.
Let us know that we were not welcomed in Italy.
This place is a complete shit.
Why would you opt to go there?
I'm here in Florence and I was robbed.
Romans are kind of the roaches of Italy.
Emphasize your American accent.
And when I meet white Americans and I tell them that I didn't have such a great time in Europe, they just don't fucking get it.
Not in Rome, not in Milan, not in Venice, in fucking Brindisi, Italia.
Beauties, it's your girl Sandy. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another episode of The World is Ghetto. Yes, y'all, the world is still ghetto, and today's topic, I'm taking you guys to the streets of Rome, Italy. For those who don't know where Italy is located, it's located in Europe, which Rome is actually the capital and Europe is the continent, Italy is the country. So yes, so like we always do, we gain some information from these videos. This one is definitely one for the books. I want you guys to do what we do: like, comment, and subscribe. I'm not going to talk too much, and I just want y'all to just get ready, get comfortable, and let's just get right into it.
I just need to get this out of my chest because I just went to pick up my residence permit and I am in Italy. I am a doctor. I just finished my PhD. I am doing a postdoc. And the police just like threw the residence permit at me. Like, why did he feel the need to make me feel so bad and everyone else that was around us in that police station? Like, he just threw it like on the desk. And, like, why am I here? Like, I'm doing a postdoc at the university and they just like treat me like shit. I had to wait for this like residence permit for 7 months. Oh my god.
So I'm currently in Milan, Italy, and today I got stopped by the police. As I'm walking through Milan with my sister and a friend, 3 men come up to us, hey, and then one of them flashes a badge, even though he has normal clothes on. 2 of the men have plain clothes, like regular clothes, and one has what looks like a police uniform, and they're shouting that they need to see some form of identification from us. They want to see our passports. Luckily, we had our passports on us. But before we gave our passports out, I was like, huh? Why do you need to see our passports? I was arguing with them. And they said it was perfectly normal, that they just need to do a check. They just need to do a check. So as my sister and a friend are taking their passports out, I was like, wait, check for what? At this point, I feel like, am I being scammed? Why are these 3 random guys who claim to be police officers, like, why are they asking us for our passports? So I say, I need to see some ID. Can I see your badges again? So they each show me their badges. I was like, no, I need to see some identification too. So they pull out some, like, I don't know, this like booklet that says they're a police officer. So I grabbed the booklet from one of them. I'm looking at the picture, I'm looking at him, and he's pissed and he pulls it away from me. I was just so hesitant because I've never experienced this in my life. Anyway, my sister and her friend give the passports out and they like asking to see my passport, and I pull out my passport last. And when they take my passport or our passports, they then take a picture of each of our passports. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I'm like, why did you take a picture? And they said, oh, we have to check. I'm like, check what? They're speaking in Italian. And I'm talking to my sister like, what the hell are they checking? So I go onto the internet and I'm like, is it normal for police in Milan to ask you for your passport to take a picture? And I'm seeing various things. One person did a Medium blog post where they said they ended up in an Italian police station because they did not have their passport on them when a random police officer did a stop check and asked them for their passport. As I'm looking at this, I'm semi-put at ease because I'm like, okay, this must be a normal thing. Then next thing I know, they call this lady over with a dog, and the sniffer dog is told to sniff all of us and is one by one sniffing us. Oh. Another group of police officers has stopped another group of guys, and these guys look like they may be like North East African. And I'm thinking, are we being profiled? Are we being profiled right now? And they go and send pictures of our passports on a WhatsApp chat. And so at this point, I'm like, what is going on? But it turns out they stop random people, ask them for their identification. They send a picture of their ID via WhatsApp to God knows who, police on the other end who are on computers to check that you actually came through the country and your honor system or God knows what. But I just found it so weird. Never experienced that before. And it was really uncomfortable. Yeah, I didn't see them stopping anyone who wasn't a person of color either. So, and I've heard stuff about Milan in the past. But yeah, seeing it myself. Anyway.
I'm visiting Rome, Italy right now, and I'm pretty sure this is the most racist place I've ever been. I've been to Europe before with zero issues, but this is a whole other level. I'm traveling with my 2 white friends, and we accidentally got on the wrong train, and we figured it out. We quickly grabbed our bags so we could transfer over to the other train. As I grabbed my bag, this lady with a baby stroller yelled at me in Italian, even though I wasn't really that close to her. And so I said, "Mi dispiace," because obviously maybe she was like coming this way. No, she was literally just standing there. And she looked at me like I was about to harm her child and yanked the baby away. And when I apologized to her, even though I really shouldn't have, the look of absolute disgust in her face spoke a million words. I was standing on a second train station platform when there were 2 workers coming by in this mobile cart. They were coming directly towards me, even though there was plenty of space. They honked at me and looked me straight in the eyes with the most annoying look, like they looked very irritated that I was standing there existing. So I move out the way and I see them continuously drive near a group of white people. And they don't honk or do anything. They go out of their way to go around the group of white people, even though there's a bunch of them and there was only one of me. I was at the Colosseum the same day taking photos with my friends, and this one guy started tutting at us and waving us aside like we were dogs, as he wanted to take a photo of the Colosseum and we were in his way. Then yelled, "Move," in perfect English. So I said, "Do you know how to say please in English too?" And he just ignored me. We're on the subway looking lost, and the security guards came up to my white friend and asked if they needed help and was super nice to her. They completely ignored me. For comparison, not only did she get help with that, but she dropped her phone on the train platform, almost underneath the train, and a worker literally went practically underneath the train to retrieve her phone. She was also given a random free week-long bus pass by a complete stranger for no reason. Seeing the stark difference between the way that my white friends who I'm traveling with are treated and the way that I'm treated is like, whoa. Like, I literally feel like this is worse than America. All this happened within a 4 or 5 hour period. In my entire time in Turkey, I haven't experienced any discrimination whatsoever. Not once. With all that being said, I am already ready to go home. I think I'm going to give it another chance because I've only been here for 1 day. But if I've experienced all of this crap and rude people in 1 day, I really don't have much hope for the rest of this trip. I'm supposed to be here for a week, but I'm honestly thinking about changing my flight. This place is a complete shithole. I will not be returning to Rome. I will be going back home to Turkey, where I am treated very well. I will make my vacations to Greece, where I am treated very well. And I hope that you guys get to one day see the world without having to worry about how you're going to be treated, because you should be treated well if you treat other people well. And I hope that if you aren't treated well, that people empathize with you and tell you that you don't deserve to be treated that way, instead of letting you know what you did to deserve being treated that way, besides existing.
So let me talk about the racism here in Italy pertaining to Asian people. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of videos about Black people who've traveled to Italy and experienced a lot of racism here. I'm going to be providing a perspective on the Asian experience. So, for example, I arrived to Italy in 2021, and it was at the height of a little show on Netflix called Squid Game. And at the time, I had like pretty long hair, so I think you guys know where I'm getting with this story. Basically, the moment I arrived, people would just come up to me and just tell me I look like the actor from Squid Game. Literally, I was at this place called Navili, which is like a place where people go to drink here in Milan. It has like a nice little like artificial river, and they would literally, like, these drunk girls would come towards me and ask me, "Oh my god, Squid Game, you're the actor from Squid Game," which obviously, like, I thought it was really funny and cute because it was just like stupid. But I have also experienced some really rough racist comments. Like, one evening I was leaving my friend's house to go back home, and there's a bar in front of my dorms, which is full of young Italians drinking. And I remember once there was this guy who was hella drunk, and while I was passing by, he stopped me and said, "Hey, I can do kung fu moves, ni hao." Basically, you're gonna get people like telling you that you look Japanese, Chinese all the time. I had this homeless guy who, when I was walking on the street, would just stop me and be like, "Oh, konnichiwa," you know, stuff like this. However, there was this one moment that was super funny. I was at the Comune with my boyfriend, which is the City Hall, and I was doing some paperwork. And I remember I was talking to my boyfriend in English. This old Italian man just turns around, looks at my boyfriend, and he goes, "Oh, you know how to speak Chinese?" And my boyfriend told him in Italian, "No, we're speaking in English." And the man was like, "Oh, he's not Chinese." And my boyfriend told him, like, "No, he's Korean." Which, by the way, I could have answered myself in Italian, but I was just like so over the fact that this man is just being hella ignorant. But like, this is just daily life. Italians, a majority of Italians, mostly like elderly, are quite ignorant because they have not been educated, obviously, on cultural diversity, integration, and whatsoever. Their image of Asian people are like the Chinese who migrated here and have opened up coffee shops and hair salons. So their image of Asians are like blue-collar workers who never have any holidays and just continuously work hard for their money, who've migrated, don't speak Italian well, don't speak English well. They think that all Asians are just like here to open up like nail salons, hair salons, sushi restaurants. Obviously, that's not the case with younger generation. Some younger Italians are more like open to the idea of the fact that Asians might be here to actually pursue a life just like everyone else. But in my experience, they still have a lot to go in terms of like, you know, Asian phobia and stuff. But even in like the dating scene, I can assure you that like in the gay dating scene, I am not seen as the most attractive, the most wanted. And I feel like this is a common case worldwide. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
The internet has turned on social media's latest alleged bullies with some serious fallout. 3 Italian girls riding a train were exposed on TikTok for their alleged racist behavior towards passengers. The viral video, uploaded by user MenorEU, showed the girls making fun of the TikToker's boyfriend and her mother, mocking the Asian language while giggling. Internet users were quick to identify the perpetrators, with one of them found to be a student at UNICAT. In response to the incident, UNICAT released a statement announcing that they would be investigating the matter and holding the student accountable according to the university legislation. With doxing of internet bullies on the rise, this isn't the only case of social media calling out injustice.
We were not bullying her.
Litz Madrigal and Alondra Palette first came under fire after being spotted at a baseball game reportedly mocking an influencer for posing for pictures. TikToker Jackie La Bonita shared to her socials videos showing the 2 women laughing, name-calling, filming, and flipping off the influencer. In the video's caption, Jackie wrote, "Please be nice," and included the hashtags Mean Girls and Mean Girl Vibes. Taking on a life of its own, the video went mega viral, sparking think pieces, reaction videos, and outrage spilling over to other platforms. As the internet spiraled with rage, Jackie turned off comments and stitches. As social media users got all fired up, internet vigilantes exposed both Litz and Alondra's places of work, study, and even went as far to dox their home addresses. But the bullygate even rolled up fellow celebs. Sharing to her 29 million followers, Cardi posted the viral video stating, "I would have put that ring to use." Are social media right to hold people accountable for their actions? Or are internet vigilantes wrong to play God and dish out punishment?
Italians are not nice. Now, this isn't everyone, but the fact that a lot of us have had a negative experience while being in Italy says something. Now, my incident didn't have anything to do with racism. However, I also was made fun of. This was several years ago when I was still in university and very much insecure about my body hair. Also, it was the height of the summer and I was very new at waxing myself, so I had patches on my legs. I mean, not crazy noticeable, but still. When I tell you that the girls across from me on the train started making fun of me. Now, I speak Spanish, so I understand a bit of Italian, and I could also pick up on the fact that they were literally staring at me, pointing at my legs, and laughing hysterically. All while they're literally sitting right across from me. And I was on the way with my family to the beach. When I tell you that moment literally ruined the entire day for me, I literally shut down. I think I might have mentioned it to my parents, but I think it was brushed off. I literally didn't speak about it again and was very passive aggressive. Again, this had nothing to do with racism, which is far worse, so I can't even imagine what other tourists go through. And again, this is a reoccurring theme. Like, I've talked to people personally who have gone and had negative experiences. Also, I've seen so many videos now on TikTok that it's like, come on, like, this is evidently like a problem. Get your shit together.
Here's what a day looks like traveling with TD. This was my second day in Italy, and we had a boat tour planned for the Amalfi Coast. And in the morning, I did not feel well, but our boat did have a bathroom, so I decided I was able to go. And at the beginning of the trip, I started feeling better, so I went to the front of the boat. And then after that, I had a very long 8 hours on the boat. So I was throwing up and using the bathroom all day. And here's our view of Positano. It was really pretty, but this is when I felt the worst. Then we made it to a little beach club in Capri, and this is where my family had lunch. I kind of just sat there and I ate some bread, and one of our crew members on the boat was nice enough to go to a pharmacy and get me some medicine. So that definitely helped. And then we headed back to Sorrento, but overall it was a very interesting day.
So I feel like I was supposed to come on here a long time ago to talk about the racism, the overt racism that I experienced in Italy. And I kind of forgot. I'm sorry, y'all. I forgot to make this video. But somebody asked me this week to come on and just touch on it. And I said I would. So here it is. Better late than never. Now, I want to start by saying if you've never been to Italy, I'm not trying to discourage you from going to Italy. I'm just telling you what my experience as a Black woman was there. My friends and I were there, 3 Black women traveling. I also want to say if you have been to Italy and you did not have this experience, even if you are a Black woman or whatever the case may be, I'm not making this video to debate about if there's racism in Italy or not, so please do not come under my comments with all that. I'm just going to explain what happened to me, what my experience was, and just touch a little bit on the major things that happened. I'm not going to go into every little thing, but the big things I'm definitely going to go into. So I started off my trip in the Amalfi Coast, which is beautiful. I know everybody dreams about going to Amalfi Coast. I am one of them. I was one of them. And it was a very beautiful place to visit. When I first got there, I went out to dinner, and I noticed like the guys were very flirty, very friendly. That was something that really stood out to me. Anyways, while I was in the Amalfi Coast, well, the town over in Sorrento, because I don't think Sorrento is technically considered the Amalfi Coast, but that was the first time where I really felt like people were not welcoming and made me feel like, ooh, why are you here? So my friend and I walked into a store in Sorrento. We were shopping. She was buying something for her grandmother as a souvenir. And when she picked up the item, the lady who was behind the counter in the store gave her like a dirty look. So my friend said something to me, and I looked and was like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, this lady just gave me a dirty look. I'm not buying anything from here. So she puts the item down. So I look up at the lady, and the lady just gives me this most disgusting look like that you can give another human being. Like, it was crazy. I guess I felt something in my soul, and I was like, yeah, I don't blame you. I wouldn't buy anything here. And as we walked out the store, she's like, bye, thank you, bye. Like, just very rude and nasty. Mind you, we said nothing to this woman. We didn't give her any dirty looks at all. Like, it was crazy. We just simply walked into the store, tried to make a purchase, and that is what happened. So that was like the first experience. So another thing that happened that really stood out was we were on the train traveling from Naples to Rome, I believe. If you don't know, a lot of people do take the train around Italy or around Europe in general. It's easier to get around. It's cheaper than like getting a private driver. And it's like less hassle than having to take a flight everywhere. But anyway, we were on a train. We actually brought like the premium or business class seats. So with the business class seats, you're able to get some food. Like I got a bottle of champagne, some water, better seats, more comfort, place to charge your phone, I think Wi-Fi, so it's a little bit more of an upgraded service. So we decided to go and sit up there to enjoy our ride. The lady who was supposed to serve us walked by us with the cart with all the stuff, kind of similar to like what they would have on an airplane. And she did not give us anything. She did not ask if we wanted anything, like did we need anything. Like, she was serving people right before us. As soon as she got to our seats, me and my 2 other friends who were also Black women, she just looked at us. Maybe she didn't even look at us. She just kept going past us though. That was the point. And I was just like, hello, like, we'd like something. And she's like, what do you want? Like, so rude, disgusting, or whatever. Like, it was so bad. it was like she did not want to serve us, and if she didn't have to, she would not. But I guess she would lose her job if she didn't stop after we said something. So she disgustingly asked what we wanted, so we got stuff off the cart or whatever. She kept it moving. At the end, she comes back to clean up our stuff. So we left everything there. Like, usually I don't like leaving garbage, even when I know someone's gonna pick up the garbage after me. But I was like, you know what? Oh, this is her job. And to be honest, I was being a little spiteful. I'm like, I'm gonna leave all my garbage here. And I mean, it's her job, so it wasn't like I did anything wrong. But she just had like the most disgusting look. She did not want to do anything for us. And I'm like, sweetie, it's your job. I literally said, this is your job. You know that, right? Like, just maybe she forgot that that's her job. The only reason I assumed that it was something that had to do with race is because nothing else happened. We didn't say anything. Nothing happened. The look of disgust, it's just, that's what I'm assuming that it was. During our trip, we had a lot of instances where it didn't feel like we were being served in a timely fashion in restaurants. And I don't know if that's just like a European thing, because sometimes I do feel like when I travel through Europe, they're not as quick to like come and check on the table and things like that. I do think it's because of the way the wages are, and that a lot of times they get paid for wages, so they're not really working off tips as much. That's my assumption. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know. But then I really did feel like it was taking extra long. And one restaurant I went to, I had a reservation. It was a restaurant by the Coliseum, so I wanted to go there. Like, you can see the Coliseum at night for dinner. And I said I had a reservation, and they just looked at me like, okay. Again, it was just like, I mean, you guys don't want us to eat here or whatever. I mean, it was late at night, so we ended up sitting at that restaurant actually, and it just took forever to get everything, and I actually regret even giving them any business, to be honest. Another time I was on a train, I was again in the business class section, had a nice area where I can sit, and this was a longer train, so I had like a table, and I had like my things on the table. The person next to me had their things on the table. It was like a woman that was with her husband, and when I came into the train, they were there first. She just gave me like the most evil stare. I mean, I just walked on the train, put my things down on the table. She gave me the most evil stare. She was sitting like across from me on the table and like moved all her things. She started speaking. I don't know what language she was speaking, but I didn't understand her. And she was telling her husband something, and they just looked at me, and then she just stared at me literally for like the whole entire 5-hour train ride. And she was like clutching her things as if I was gonna like steal from her or something. It was very bizarre. I just literally ignored her, enjoyed my train ride, took a nap, woke up, but it was like she was just like staring at me the whole time and just saying things. And I can tell that was not nice things just by the reactions on their faces. But I was just like really confused. And again, the only thing I could attribute it to was race. I'm trying to touch on like the really overt things that happened and that stood out. I'm trying to make this short and to the point. There was definitely a lot of like microaggressions, like people just like walking by, not saying excuse me, like bumping into me, just totally acting like I didn't exist. Happened to my friend too. The dirty looks, you know, consistently. You can just kind of tell you didn't feel that welcomed in that country, in Italy at all. That's how I felt. And yeah, again, I'm not trying to deter people from going, but I'm just telling you exactly what happened. And I'm being honest, I'm being straightforward. And I think this is the last thing we really touch on. My friend was leaving Italy separately from me. We split up. She was going to an African country. I was going back to the US. And she was trying to get on the plane. Mind you, we packed carry-on bags for this whole trip to Italy because, you know, the baggage situation in Europe has been crazy. We don't want to deal with any missing bags or anything like that. And we had a layover on one of the legs, so it was just like that's more room for error. So we packed these carry-on bags. So when she got to the airline to go on the plane to board her flight, they said that she can't take her carry-on bag. Mind you, they were letting other people take their carry-on bags on her flight. So, you know, she made a point to like bring that up, and they were kind of like, oh no, that's not true. But it was true. People that, you know, did not look like her, that were not black people and not black women, were able to bring their carry-on bags, and she was not. It was the facts. And actually happened to me one time, sidebar, when I was going on flight on Delta, and I complained about that because when you got on the flight, there was so much space to put my bag, and I got a nice reward from Delta from that. So don't be afraid to speak up if y'all have any issues with anything on these flights. But anyway, back to my story. They didn't let her take the bag. She had to check her bag or whatever the case may be, because what are you gonna do? She got to get on the flight anyway. And she filed a complaint because, again, other people who were not black women were able to bring on their carry-ons. So I felt like overall the sentiment was that we're not welcomed, and that they were going to make our lives a little bit more difficult, and let us know that we were not welcomed in Italy, to be honest. people ask me like how Italy was, I have to, I tell them all the good parts. Like I enjoyed Amalfi Coast and Italy as a whole, as far as the food went and like the activities that I did while I was there. The weather was nice. It was a place that I've been really wanting to go. I got to visit another world wonder, which was amazing, at the Colosseum. I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the actual overt racism that I experienced there. And so again, this is not to deter anybody. I was trying to analyze like what was like, I was trying to say like, am I wrong? Am I crazy? Am I bugging? But it was really mostly, for the most part, and like all these examples I gave you was women, Italian women that lived there. The men were really flirty. They were kind of like a little bit too flirty, actually. That's another story. But they were really nice, welcoming. The women, not so much. And when I came home, somebody was telling me like a lot of Italian men like black women, which I could tell when I was there. That was definitely the case. They seemed very interested, but the women not so much. So I was thinking perhaps the women don't like us there because their men do.
Y'all, he is mesmerized. He has been staring the entire time. Every time I go to do a video, look. He can't help himself, y'all. He just can't help himself. I tell y'all, it's the melanin. The melanin does it every single time. Look, he's still staring.
It's alright, leave it, Con.
You know what? I can't believe, in Milan, Italy, I've just been told by an individual, to not even record in this place. Not only that, he's told me to go back to my own country as well. To show around how many people are recording. Racist or what? That has totally miffed me off.
Paid $1,500 for a surprise birthday dinner for my boyfriend at a 3-Michelin restaurant in Florence and ended up crying outside the restaurant. So basically what happened is that when you make a reservation, they ask you a bunch of questions like if you have any food allergies or if you're there celebrating like a special occasion, things like that. And so I had written that, it was my boyfriend's birthday. I was surprising him with this dinner. He's a chef in Florence and I knew he would be really excited. And then also when you make a reservation, and this was specific for this restaurant, I haven't seen this on like any other Michelin restaurant, but basically when you make a reservation, they also had the option to add on some things. Like you could add on a tour of the wine cellar or like a photo of the chef, which like is also kind of wild to me that like a 3-star Michelin restaurant is charging an extra €30 for like a picture of the chef, but I digress anyway. One of the add-on options was that you could add on a birthday cake. So it was like a slice of birthday cake on a pedestal. You could customize like what was written on it. Like you could say happy birthday, tanti auguri, or whatever, with like candles and sparklers and all like the whole shebang, right? And so after I made the reservation, they emailed me back with that part highlighted where I said that it was my boyfriend's birthday. And they asked if I wanted to add on that birthday cake for like €25, I think it was. And I was like, no, I know him and I know he's gonna wanna try like the dessert that's on the tasting menu. So we don't need like the birthday cake. Mind you that for every time I've ever been fortunate enough to dine at like a Michelin restaurant for like a birthday or a special occasion or something like that, they always just like put a birthday candle in the dessert because that's like their job, right? Like that's part of what you're paying for. If you've ever been to like a Michelin restaurant, it's like the attention to detail and like they know everything about who is dining there. They know why you're there. They know they look you up. It's like the Bear if you've ever seen that. But again, that's like part of what you're paying for. You're paying for impeccable service and just attention to detail. So in my mind, I was like, no, they'll probably just like put a candle in his dessert because that's literally what every single Michelin restaurant I've ever been to has done. My TGI Fridays does that. Like my local trattoria down the street puts a candle in the dessert. Like it's normal, right? Like it's normal to do that. Anyway, so we go, we're eating, the food is wonderful, the staff is wonderful. There were a couple of things that Dario and I clocked pretty immediately just because we were like, oh, that's odd. Like for example, in the reservation, we had written down like what our allergies were. And when, they came over to the table, they asked us if we had any allergies. And I was like, did you look at our sheet at all? Because usually they come over and they're like, so we know that you're allergic to crustaceans, but like, are there any other, again, just like attention to detail and just things like that. Like a waiter knocked over a glass, on somebody and just our napkins were taken a couple times and new ones were literally just like small things that are not a big deal. But again, like when you're at a Michelin restaurant, like it's part of what you're paying for. You're paying for like kind of perfect service and attention to detail and things like that. It's part of the experience. So just a couple of things that were odd. So at one point, the table across from us, the lights went down and happy birthday music started playing, and they came out with like the birthday cake that I had seen on the add addition button, like the birthday cake with the pedestal and the writing on it and things like that. That came out for the table across from us. So clearly they had, paid the €25 for that. And then the table next to us though, a little while later, the lights shut down again, birthday music started playing again, and they brought out just like the same dessert that Dario ended up getting, which was part of the tasting menu with a candle in it. And it wasn't as extravagant. It wasn't the birthday cake and all that stuff, but it was just a candle in the dessert. And I was like, great. Like that's what they'll do for Dario, So then our dessert comes, nothing. No candle, nothing. And at like the beginning of our meal and in the middle of the meal when we were talking with the waiters and things like that, I had thrown in like, oh, it's his birthday. So like, even if they didn't pay attention to the sheet, which I don't know why they wouldn't, but I think they had an idea. Anyway, though, our dessert comes, nothing. So I was like, that's so weird. I'm confused. So I think I'm just going to ask. So the bill comes and it is €1,400, which is about $1,500 which like I knew this was going to be expensive. I had been saving up for months. Because he's a chef and he loves these type of things. So I was like so excited to surprise him, right? So the bill comes and I just kind of ask him like, hey, I had mentioned that it was his birthday and I just saw some other, some tables that were getting candles and stuff. And I'm just kind of curious as to why he didn't and just kind of where the miscommunication was. And he was like, oh, well, when you make the reservation, you need to write that it's his birthday. And I was like, I did write it. And his eyes get really wide. He's like panicking and he's like, I am so sorry. Like, I don't know. And he's like, let me go get my manager. And I'm like, sure. Like, I don't want to put this on you. Like, you poor kid. Sure. So eventually, like 15 minutes later, I think, the floor manager comes in. When like somebody just comes in like hot and heavy and just agitated, like, when you can tell somebody is just like ready to fight? That was this man. Like he came in like already guards up, like ready to go. And so he comes over to our table and he has with him, I can't believe I'm saying this. He has with him the reservation sheet that with all my answers on it, like printed out with him. And he just puts it on the table and he just starts like going off. Like this man was it went from 0 to 100. Like I can't even describe to you, like I was so confused. I was like, where is this coming from? Like he is just going off. He's like, oh, you have to reserve it. Like it costs extra. That's what we do here. Like you have to reserve extra. You have to add it on and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I could not get a word in. When I'm telling you, like at one point I literally put my head down and just let him finish his rant because he just was not letting me speak. And every time where I could get a word in, he would cut me off. And so eventually I say, if I could just have a minute, like, this is really not a big deal. It is not a big deal at all. I kept saying that, like, it's really not a big deal. I was honestly just curious. I saw that table over there got the birthday cake. I understand I didn't add that. But this table next to us, like they just got the dessert that he got with a candle in it. And so I guess I'm curious, like, again, this is not a big deal. I kept saying that. And again, like he just kept cutting me off and saying I had to reserve it. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't see that there was an option to just reserve a candle on the website. Like I didn't realize, like if there was that, I'm sorry, that's on me, but I know that there wasn't an option just to reserve a candle. I didn't realize I had to like ask for a candle. And part of me is like, I just paid €1,400 for this meal, which is $1,500. I paid $1,500 for this meal and you're telling me I couldn't have just gotten a candle? Eventually Dario chimes in Italian to kind of try to like rectify the situation because it's just really escalated at this point I have no idea what happened. He starts chiming in, they start going off in Italian at each other, and eventually I just stand up because I was like, I need to remove myself from this situation. I paid, like I need to remove myself from this situation. So I get up and I begin, to walk toward the door. I ask the person there for our coats. I take our coats and Dario and him are still going. And I kind of notice like he's letting Dario finish his sentences. It's like... Anyway, so whatever happens between them, like it comes to an understanding of some sort. And Dario was like, we're going to go see the wine cellar. I guess the guy had offered for Dario to go see the wine cellar, which was nice, I guess. But at that point I was like, you know what, like you go ahead. I'm going to go outside. Like you go ahead. I need to leave. And so I did. And that's when I started crying. And I think a mix of it was just like from being just very just kind of yelled out like that, unnecessarily so, but more so like at a 3 Michelin star restaurant. I've literally saved up for this dinner for months to give him this special experience, and like to be, you know, to have it kind of ended on a sour note sucked. And today I'm still really confused, and I'm just kind of shocked over still that like this is like a fine dining, like 3 Michelin restaurant, and like customer service and just impeccable service is part of that, right? And I was just so shocked that like I just did not expect that to happen. Like, what the heck? What? And unfortunately, since then, I've seen the Google reviews and had some other friends and just people in general tell me that they had similar experiences, which, you know, is unfortunate that this wasn't a unique experience. It's a shared one. Anyway, at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. Please don't go leave them like negative comments or messages or anything like that. It's fine. We're moving on. But I personally believe that there are many other Michelin level restaurants in Florence that offer like all around incredible experiences. And I personally would recommend maybe heading to one of those instead. I'm disappointed, but it's okay. Moving on.
Also, if you're a minority, by the way, emphasize your American accent when you are in Europe. They will not treat you much better. They will treat you like second tier to like white Americans.
I was absolutely miserable during my time in France. I had so many negative interactions with locals to the point where I canceled my trip early and went back to the Netherlands. The racism and xenophobia is so prevalent and obvious, it's mind-blowing. I remember this one time I was standing outside of a bar with a group of people, and I was the only person of color there, and I guess we were kind of blocking the sidewalk. This French woman was so angry, she literally pushed me, and only me, into the street, into oncoming traffic, shouted something in French and walked away. Like, how the fuck do you react to that? Throughout my travels in Europe, I eventually got to the point where I understood that I needed to flaunt my Americanism. It was so bad that I eventually walked around with a shirt with an American flag on it. Ew. And when I meet white Americans and I tell them that I didn't have such a great time in Europe, they just don't fucking get it, even when I explain to them.
The last few times we tried to rent a car in Italy, it was a complete nightmare. We just went through one a month ago, and now we're back in Sicily, and we're going to try to rent a car and see how it goes this time. Absolutely stray away from Europa car. It's an absolute nightmare. Also, do not rent from Hertz. They stole our money. We love National, but it's way too expensive. And today we're trying Sixt. Just to give you a quick rundown of what happened last time. We arrived at the airport, and it turns out that our luggage was completely damaged, and it took us about an hour and a half to get that reported. Then as soon as we got out, we went to the rental company, where the line was absolutely insane. It took us about 5 hours of standing in a line trying to get a car. And as soon as we got to the window, they told us that we need an international driver's license. And usually we travel with my Polish driver's license, which is applicable to all the EU countries. But this time we somehow forgot it at home. So they completely refused to give us a car. And they also refused to give us a reimbursement for the car that we already paid for. All the other rental companies also required an international driver's license, and only one, Hertz, did not need one. We decided to go with them and paid twice as much for another rental. This time we got our international driver's license, which should not be necessary unless your driver's license is not in the Roman alphabet. So let's see how it goes this time. Fingers crossed. And that was surprisingly smooth like butter. Thank you, Six, for being so easy to work with. Or maybe just Sicily is better overall.
Italy, oh no. Now guys, I'm currently in Italy, right? And I went to a restaurant where I was staying, and let me tell you, these people were the most friendliest people ever. They invited me in and they were giving me handshakes. They were like, hey, bellissimo, welcome to Italy. The pizza man was dancing, the waiters were clapping their hands. I was like, what's going on here? Didn't people tell me it's racist here? Anyways, sat me down. Look at this pizza. This pizza, oh, dude, the pizza is great. Don't forgive me if I butchered it, but I was trying to sing in Italian, basically, because that's how amazing this pizza was. You know a pizza is good when you eat the crust and everything else. This shit right here, 10 out of 10. It was so good I had to order a dessert. Then came the tiramisu. You know, tiramisu is like one of Italy's most famous desserts. As you see, I'm zooming in there. There was a chocolate, the lady fingers, all of that good stuff was stuffed in there. I was like, yep, amazing. And as you see, I'm going to close it off with a picture here of me enjoying my life eating pizza.
A gelateria in Rome.
Ciao, due piccoli. People inside are rude.
Really rude.
The ice cream is good. I'm pissed.
I gave them the Italian hand. That's how bad it was.
We give the Italian hand. You need to change name. Maledetti Gioletti. Andate a scuola, Dante. A imparare l'educazione.
So I've been seeing a lot of videos circulating on social media about people who have experienced racism in Italy, and I just wanted to kind of add my voice to the conversation as a Black woman that has been living here for 3 years, and sort of provide some tips for minorities that I have found helpful. Okay, so when I first moved to Italy, one of the things I had to get used to was the constant staring. Walking down the street, on the bus, I just see people staring at me and I'd wonder, like, what's going on? But it is a cultural thing. They're staring at everyone regardless of your skin color. And then, yes, if you are Black or even just a foreigner, which they can tell by how you dress, you're going to get more stares than usual. So that brings me to my next point, fare una bella figura, which is a part of Italian culture, or just making a good impression. Basically, Italians really care about how you present yourself, how well you dress. Especially in Italy, it's important to dress classier than usual. I think that does affect how I am perceived. I also wanted to mention that sometimes what I perceived as racism was just bad customer service. I remember I was in like a phone company trying to get like a SIM card, and this guy was so rude to me. But I noticed he was also rude to the other like white American girl who was being served as well. And that's when I realized some things are just not related to race. And the last thing I would keep in mind is that the further north you go, the colder people tend to be. So, for example, I went to Genova and I just didn't like it. I live in Florence, Italy, and people are very friendly and warm. People remember my name, my order. I can skip the line at certain cafes. In Genova, it was just not the vibe. I wouldn't go back there. I did like the rest of Liguria, however. And then I have had friends who haven't had the best experience in places like Veneto, which is the region where Venice is in. But I haven't ever felt unsafe. I've always felt completely safe walking around, even alone at night as a woman, in Florence and Rome. Again, this is all just my experience, but let me know if you have any questions and I'd be happy to answer them.
So I noticed that out of all Italian cities, Rome probably gets the worst rep out of all of them for being racist or not inclusive of other people, especially foreigners. And I happen to be born in Rome and I was raised there for a couple of years, and I wanted to share an experience that happened to me and give it a little bit of context. For context, this is my father. He is full Italian, and this is my sister, and she and I had about the same complexion when we were kids. And this is my beautiful mama. She is American. One day when I was a kid, my dad, my sister, and I went to a bakery to pick up some pastries or something, and there was an older lady working at the bakery. And the lady says to my dad, "Signore, che bella cosa che avete fatto, adottare queste bambine africane." Which means, "Sir, what a beautiful thing you've done to adopt these little African children." She said that in Italian, assuming we did not understand, and my dad responded saying, "No, they're actually my children. Their mom is African American." And even then, it wasn't clicking in her brain because she was like, "But they're tan and they have curly hair and brown eyes, and you are white and you have blue eyes." Although that was pretty out of pocket, I feel like a lot of people just are very ignorant and not educated, especially older generations, because if you think about it, they didn't really grow up with seeing diverse people and different ethnicities around. They really just saw people of their own kind. So to them, it just doesn't like click in their brain how that could be a possibility. And this is not to invalidate anybody's experience. I know for a fact that a lot of Romans are very racist and very dirty and vulgar. And honestly, Romans are kind of the roaches of Italy. Like, I'll be the first one to admit that. But I do think that lack of exposure and ignorance sometimes plays a part in what people say that can come off kind of backhanded.
I made the dumbest mistake. I bought the wrong train ticket. I don't know how this happened, but I bought a ticket from Venice to Florence instead of Florence to Venice, and I had to rebuy the train tickets for both of us, which was so annoying. But we made it to Venice, and right outside the train station has the most stunning view. We hopped on the public water bus, which I
believe it was 15 euros for the both of us, which wasn't bad at all because I think a private water taxi was going to run us like 50 to 80 euros. The water bus took about 40 minutes, and once we got off the port, we had no idea where our hotel was because the maps were not taking us to the right place. So this really nice lady helped us out, and I am so grateful for her. We quickly changed and dropped our luggage off and then headed out to explore. We were starving by this point. It was like around noon, so we headed to lunch and just picked a random cafe, but I ended up getting the seafood pasta, which was super good, and obviously I had to get gelato after. Last time I was in Venice, I got this gorgeous leather purse and I definitely wanted to get one more, so I was deciding between this white one and the brown one and ended up going with the brown one because it just felt a little bit more structured. Also, don't judge my fit because it was pretty cold this day and I just layered with whatever I had in my suitcase. We then went to St. Mark's Square, saw the Bridge of Sighs, and then went back to our hotel room to take a nap, and by this time it was pouring outside and Ryan was like, we need to explore, and I'm so glad he did because this happened. A full rainbow came out of nowhere just 10 minutes after we left the hotel, and it was so pretty outside. I was like in awe of the rainbow. Our hotel encouraged us to make dinner reservations, and we stumbled upon this earlier in the day, not knowing it was going to be the best meal of our whole Italy trip. I've never tasted better water, and they started us off with Prosecco. For an appetizer, we got this beef tartare. For entrees, I got the beef stuffed pasta, and it was so flavorful, and then we split this risotto with fish on it. This fish is called goby, and apparently it's a local fish. And to end the night, I had the best creme brulee of my life.
One of the most surprising things that I've experienced as a Black woman living in Italy is hearing my classmates, friends, and ex-boyfriends from all over Europe, and even from Italy, tell me that they've experienced discrimination here. In America, people are going to judge you purely based on your skin color and treat you differently. In Italy, the discrimination is more origin-based and more about classism. What this means is that people from countries like Albania and even cities like Naples in Italy experienced a kind of microaggressions that were typically only reserved for minorities in America. But in America, they'd just be seen as white.
Here's how I felt as a Black woman traveling in Italy. I've been to 14 countries so far, and the most common question I get is how did it feel as a Black person being there? So let's get into it. So Italy was a trip that I took with my mom and my sister. During our time in Italy, we were able to hit the cities of Rome, Pompeii, Sorrento, Vatican City, Florence, and Venice. Now let's get into the food because we are 100% certified foodies. And out of all the cities that we visited, Florence definitely had the best food. I didn't really care for Rome's food as much. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't as good as other cities. As far as safety, we felt absolutely fine walking around at night, just the three of us in all of the cities that we visited. Especially going to like popular tourist locations, like everything was pretty full and I never felt uneasy about my surroundings at all. Finally, the biggest question that I get is, did we experience racism? And in our experience, my answer would be no. The Italian people were very kind, and everyone was minding their own business for the most part. That being said, we had a great time in Italy, and I honestly can't wait to go back. So if it's not on your list already, I would definitely recommend you book a flight to this country, because we had a time.
Guys, racist where everyone in Italy is so nice. They keep complimenting you, and everyone's complimenting my dress today, and they're like, oh my god, you're from Somalia, whoa. I think Italian people love East African women. I don't know what it is, but I love it here. I just want to live here.
Okay, so I see a lot of people that have posted videos talking about racism in Italy. And I'm Italian, my husband is Caribbean, and I have to tell you my story that happened today. So I was going around with a pram and with my son, and it was raining a lot, so we sheltered inside there was an entrance close to a shop, so we sheltered there. My son is obviously mixed race because, as I said, I'm Italian and my husband is Caribbean, and there was a man there of a certain age which asked me if I got my son from a shelter, from foster care, pretty much, from foster home. And I looked at him like, what? Like that was something like that and has never happened to me. And I just wanted to share this story. I mean, I laughed, didn't take offense at that moment, but I know a lot of people would take offense. It's quite offensive. I know that the guy didn't say it to offend me or my son. He genuinely thought that he was not my son. But then I explained to him, like, no, he is my son, actually. And he was like, oh, like, is your husband Egyptian? It just kept getting worse and worse. And I was like, no, actually he's Caribbean. It was so embarrassing. So with this said, I'm like, Italy is still so backwards. Like, some people are literally, like, their mind is still so behind, and some people are racist and don't even do it on purpose. They just say things that are inappropriate. I'm so sorry for everybody that is experiencing that, and it's annoying sometimes as a mom and as a wife, because my husband also experienced that, and we have so many stories. But hey, there's also a lot of really respectful, nice people here that love people, all kinds of people. This doesn't matter their nationality, color, or anything. You know, we just love people. I'm Italian and I'm married to a Caribbean man, so I mean, not everybody is racist. That's what I'm saying.
I'm here in Florence and I was robbed. Pickpocketed, actually. This happened a couple of days ago. That's why I'm a lot less emotional. Believe me, I was a mess. I already know this happens in some parts of Italy, but I was so shocked still. If I have to be honest, I'm partly to blame because I am so naive. I cannot even believe that people would do this. I walk around with my purse, and this is only for demonstrations purposes only, because my purse is not like this anymore. Open like this, walking on the street. Sometimes my purse goes on the back of me. I had 2 of these pouches in blue, and they took one of them. Inside was all my cash, euros and US dollars, because I was going somewhere else after Florence. And my credit cards, obviously, glasses, other stuff. It was so quick because I was in a store 10 minutes away from my Airbnb. All it took was for me to walk there. I stopped a couple of times in the center where there was a lot of people and asked for directions, and I guess it took literally half a second and they took it. I spent the rest of the day looking for a police station. No cell phone battery, no Wi-Fi. It happened at 2 p.m. and I was running the streets until 10 p.m., 9 p.m. By the time I got to the station, it was closed. I tried to call 911, that didn't help. I just wanted a police report, which I filed the next day. I decided to make a video because there has to be a silver lining to this. If this happened to me, maybe I can help somebody else. My son is here for 1 semester abroad in college, and I told him this can happen at any moment. You need to be careful. These people are beyond professional. So if I can help even one more person, that you have a child going to Europe or that is in Europe or you yourself are going, please beware that you cannot leave anything unattended. 2 years ago, I was in Paris in a breakfast place. My cell phone was on the table. I must have turned around half a second. It was gone. It's so quick. I really hope this can somehow help someone.
FYI, if you are coming to Milan, be careful. There's literally scammers absolutely everywhere. We've been here, okay, it's like 1 o'clock. We've been out since like 10 and we've got scammed twice. First time, we were like by the Duomo, which is like a really beautiful place where you can get pictures. This guy comes up to us and is like, come on, let me take a picture of you for €3. We're like, okay, sure, why not? So he's taking pictures of us and was like, no, move this way, oh, better like this, better like that. We're like, okay, sure. Then after, he's like, okay, let me send them to you. So he sends us 10 photos and he's like, okay, €30. And we're like, no, you said 1 for €3. You don't need to send us all of them, just 1 is fine. He was like, no, because I sent them to you now, so you need to pay me. And we're like, no, we're not going to pay you. He was like, come, let me take you to the bank machine or trouble. So he brings us down to the bank machine, which is actually away from everyone. And I was just like, okay, look, we're not paying you for these photos. Anyway, next one. So we are walking now into this beautiful castle place. This guy comes up to us and he drops this bracelet on my shoulder and was like, oh, take it for free. Lovely lady, lovely couple. Take this for free. I was like, it's okay. He was like, no, it's free. I was like, okay, cool. Next minute he takes it, puts it on my wrist, gets my boyfriend, puts a bracelet on my boyfriend, and then it's like, okay, £10, €10. I'm like, €10 for what? He's like, oh, donation. I was like,
do you want to know a completely irrational and illogical irritation of mine? I don't know if it is illogical, actually. maybe tell me in the comments if I'm being toxic. But I hate to hear black people going to Italy. Every time I see it, I don't know why it irks me to my soul, because I'm like, how many videos do you need to see that they are so disrespectful to us over there? But yet you keep going back. They keep going back. Is it that you want to be able to come back and tell the story? What's the logic? Why are you going there? I said it was probably a bit illogical, but, you know, maybe some people go in there don't experience it, but I am yet to have met a black person personally and seen so many stories on TikTok of black people having horrible experiences there. I'm just like, don't people have social media? Why would you opt to go there? Sorry, that's it.
I want to answer to this question. The premise is, generally speaking, we're not. The problem is this. When Cristoforo Columbus arrived in 1942, also the Indians were pretty content and happy to see him. Sort of, because he didn't behave very well. The thing is, it wasn't as tragic. As the Native Americans started to notice that there was more and more and more and more people coming, started noticing that these people were starting to push more and more and more into their lands, it's when they become a little bit angry. This is what is happening to Italy, because you need to understand that Italy is part of the European Union. The European Union is saying to Italy that we should let all the asylum seekers in, which is a correct point of view. The problem is that we are the front line and we're literally getting anybody in. Some of them are distributed, many of them stay in Italy. It's becoming more and more and more. A country where people do not make 60 grand a year like you, but in a country where people make 1,500 grand, $1,500 a month, which is a third of what you guys make. We need to pay taxes to sustain all this. This is becoming worse and worse and worse every single year. Although I agree we should help asylum seekers, I believe that with time the Italian person is feeling more and more attacked, more and more defensive. And its defensiveness translates into the American mind to this. I'm trying to open a perspective here. I'm not talking about mine. I'm just speaking about the general feelings I believe that Italians have.
All right, so I get asked this particular style of question on a regular, so I figured I would go ahead and answer, is Italy racist? Yeah, it's racist. It's racist. But please tell me, where is there not racism? And that is probably the most, and I know this particular person, they were not asking it in an annoying or an addictive way or whatever like that, but I get asked that question so often. And it's a question that like I kind of addressed before on the page, and I got like chewed out and it was fine, whatever. Everyone has different opinions, but where do we not have race issues, especially if you're a person of color? You have it everywhere. You do not have violence everywhere. You do not have situations where a person does not like how you responded and they end your life. You have it happen all the time in the States. And it's not just particularly like, oh, this is a mass shooter, or this is, you know, like, oh, this is a nightclub shoot up. No, you have like a guy who tells a girl at a freaking gas station that she's pretty, and she's like, thank you. And he's like, oh, that's all you're gonna say? You're not gonna say anything else to me? You have all that stuff. And then they shoot the girl in the leg. I don't know if you guys remember that story in Georgia. Shot the girl in the leg because she was not interested and she was with her boyfriend. So racism is really the least of my concerns. I'm more concerned at this point in time about violence. And I think everybody should be. Screw the whole, is this place racist? Is this, blah, blah, blah. Can you move to Italy? Everyone's like, you know, they ask a question about racism in Italy and all this other stuff. Guys, how are you going to work in Italy? Worry about that. How you going to work? You don't speak Italian. How you gonna, you know, what was it? How's Chris Brown say? How you gonna hate from outside the club? You can't even get in. Like, worry about that, guys. People like, I'm gonna work in customer service. Please tell me what hotel or what customer service place you go to in the States and the person does not speak English. Remember when that was a big thing in the past and they talked about, you know, they made fun or they were upset because this is America, speak English. Remember all that, guys? So it's like, let's focus on what's more important when it comes to traveling. Racism is everywhere. You don't want to experience it, but it happens. You have passive aggressiveness everywhere. Do your research. Focus more literally on if the country is a violent to Black people country. And with that being said, I don't understand why a lot of y'all visit the US of A.
I spent the whole summer in Spain and Italy, and the people want to know, are they racist? You're a joke, but I'll never tell you a lie. You are not safe anywhere in the world. But to answer your question, let's start with Spain. So Spain, I lived in Spain for a month, 26 days to be exact, and I did not experience any racism. I also speak the language, so like it's just you really deal more so with like the cultural difference. And like Spaniards, or I don't know if this is a European thing or like a Spaniard thing, because they were honestly doing it in Italy, but they have no sense of personal space. So they will literally stand on top of you. And I feel like that was my biggest takeaway and the most annoying thing that I experienced while I was there. Like everybody walks slow and everybody's always all on top of you. Now, the thing that you guys probably experience is the staring, and Spaniards have staring problems. Like, sorry to break it to you, they got staring problems. There's nothing that's ever going to change about it. They stare back. And I promise they're not just staring at you because you're black or just a different race. They staring at everybody. They're staring at everybody. Staring at their own kind. They got staring problems. Next is Italy, and is Italy racist? Now, this is, I hear the most about Italy. Is Italy racist? And after going and visiting 4 cities in Italy, I went from the north to the south. I started in Venice and ended up at the Amalfi Coast. I really don't know what y'all talking about. Italians? They love us. They love us bad. Like, black girl, they love us. And I'm not sure what the obsession is I don't know if it's because they don't see us or people that look like us a lot, but they were so nice to us. Like, I had so much fun in Italy because of the people. Like, they were so sweet, so helpful, so like caring, and like, you know, there to help always. So I had a ball in Italy. I did not experience racism in Italy. I'm telling y'all, I went from Venice, then we went to Florence, then we went to Rome, and then we went to the Amalfi Coast. So no, I did not experience any racism. Everybody was honestly happy to see me. But I'm not by any means dismissing anybody else's experience, because like I said, y'all, you're not safe anywhere. You can go anywhere and they could be racist to you. I mean, look at the country we're living in now. You know what it's built on, but that's a story for another day. Big piece of advice: when you do go to these countries, make sure to check the culture, because a lot of you guys do confuse culture with racism, and it's not that.
All right, child. In my opinion, we've seen so many videos on this racism thing, this whole thing that's been going in. It's literally bled out in the whole world. Like, let's just be for real. Racism is still there. Like, I've been here for years, and yeah. And just like people be going to Europe, I be telling people, because I lived in Europe. Europe is way more in your face. It's not like here in America. It's more fake. Like, they just don't like you, but they will be like the fake smile. Like, bro, don't smile at me. You don't know you don't even like me just because of the color of my skin, which is the dumbest reason to ever not like someone. I've never understood it. I'll never will ever understand how this shit even brought wars, division, and because of the color of your skin. And then on top of that, like, I could see if your skin gave you some superpowers, bro. You was flying outside. You was able to do, like, if we could be able, like, if other people were taking like 40 hours to do a job, you would take like 2 hours to do that. And you get, if your skin had types of superpowers, baby, I would be envious probably. But we're the same, bro. We gonna be 6 feet deep. We shit the goddamn same. Like, we bleed the same. Like, I've never understood it. It's never gonna make sense to me ever in my life to never not like somebody because of the skin of the color of the skin. I almost said skin of the color, but y'all know what I mean. But yeah, in my opinion, I would say just go where you're celebrated. Like, but at the same time, I would still go visit. I would definitely go to Italy. Like, I don't care. My confidence is over the roof. There's nothing you can do to me that's gonna just be like break me to the point where I'm like, damn, I really am ugly. I need to go and bleach my whole goddamn skin right now. Like, what the no, I love my skin. I love me. Like, the confidence that I have, baby, like, my skin is golden. And I feel like everyone should have that confidence exuded everywhere you are. Even if someone looks at you nasty or gives a comment, like, just look at them like they dumb, because like they gonna go home and think about like, why was she not even threatened by what I was saying? Because it don't hurt me. Like, I'm so confident. Like, my body is beautiful, my skin is beautiful. You know what I'm saying? You gotta tell yourself those affirmations and believe it, because one thing about it, you never gonna change, honey.
unless you go surgeries and do all this stuff, but you're never gonna change. People are still gonna go to the throwbacks in 2010 when you was this shade, and now you're 2025, you're this shade. People are never gonna forget that. They're always gonna come to you for that. Just build your confidence. Love who you are, your features, your color, everything about you. Build that confidence to where you're unstoppable, so that when you go to these countries, people are staring at you with disgust. You are like, okay, yeah, I would envy me too, honey. Like, my skin is popping in this sun. Like, baby, I will give you a show. Like, if you I'm the type of person, you staring at me, I stare back. I don't play, for real. We can have a staring competition at this point. Who gonna win? Because what are you looking at that is so disgusting? My skin, like, it's so weird, baby. But I would just stare you the fuck down, and I wouldn't care, because like, it's dumb. And you're gonna have to go home and think about it. Like, damn, I'm so dumb for just hating someone because of this skin. Like, it's so dumb, bro. Like, I've never understood it, bro. Like, never will, like I said. So just like I say, do your research before you go to these countries. Build your confidence, and just follow by their rules, their laws. And yeah, even if someone is treating you a certain way, just exude kindness. Like, people not, like, you know that saying when people say if you can't beat them, join them. They just gonna end up joining you, because how can you just be so kind to someone and they're so disgusting? They're gonna look like the clown, especially in an argument. Imagine arguing with someone, they're raising their voice and you're just looking at them so calm, and you're like, they gonna look like they're crazy. Everybody around gonna be like, look at that crazy ass talking to himself. And I'll be just there like, go get on. Everybody pulling out their cameras. It's 2025. Cameras pulling out, and they're just you're gonna look like a fool on the internet, and I'm just gonna look like bleach. Like, baby, it's not, I'm unbothered, honey. So that's what I'm saying. That's all. For those people who are feeling ashamed to go to Italy, do not feel ashamed. Go there, visit it, learn the history. There's a lot of history in these countries, in this continent. Just go learn about it. Don't be scared. And yeah, feel good about yourself. Make those memories. You know what I'm saying? And don't feel bad. Like, because I know a lot of these stories are really, really heartbreaking to, like, even the stereotypes, the name calling. It's a lot. But I would just say, the worst thing someone can do, like, I'm the type of person, before you attack me, I'm gonna give you my flaws, baby. Here they are. What you gonna do after? You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is me. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not disappearing. So what you gonna do? So it's like exposing yourself and just exuding that. They're not gonna attack nothing, because it's like, oh, she already said that about herself. Of course, yeah. If your forehead big, go outside, put the goddamn highlight. Yeah, be proud of your forehead, and go out there and be like, you know, make fun of your forehead. People are never gonna come back. Like, I'm telling you, when you make fun of yourself or you do things about yourself, even if it's not making fun to you, it could be like, yo, I really love my features. God made me perfectly. And then they just looking at it, oh, her forehead too big and this and that, baby. Like, you see how they be telling about Rihanna, and she's pretty gorgeous, and they be talking about her forehead, 5 head, you know what I'm saying? Whole time, girl, shorty is killing. She don't even worry. She be coming there and showing y'all her forehead, and y'all have nothing to say to her, because, baby, she getting her bag, she getting her money, she's confident, that's what it is. So just take by that, build your confidence, and that's all I gotta say. So with all that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe, join the gang. Let us know where you're from down in the comment section. That should be a new thing, so that at least we can see where people are from. I usually like that, because I feel like a lot of people are from different countries, and I usually love seeing you guys flags, love you guys telling me, oh, can you do this, can't you do this? So y'all can also leave your suggestion down there, so I can dig into more topics. So, and with all that being said, I hope you guys have a blessed weekend. Turn on your post notifications for the next couple of videos coming up, and I will see y'all. Bye.
Hey, Zuma, you taking off?